Is Bitcoin starting to cool off, or are we about to see new all-time highs? Guys, welcome to Empire Trading Academy. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe, hit the like, and let's get right into this. All right, guys. So in the last video, we talked about the $40,000 support level, okay, that we were looking at. I thought there was a very good possibility that we were going to get a squeeze beneath the 40,000, possibly to our 37,500 level. But we went ahead and we never got that squeeze, and we just used that 40,000 as our ultimate support. Okay. So if you saw in the Business Insider article, my target for the support level was between 40,000 and that 37,500 level. And we hit at the top of our target. Okay. Now, just quickly, the reason why I had thought there was a possibility of a squeeze is because we did have a Wyckoff accumulation here. Okay. Now, and followed this Wyckoff distribution. Okay. Now we have our three tops. Okay, here are subsequent tops here, and this is our first impulse move. This is our first markup and our first sell-off. Now, if we go back here, if you look at what happened here, we have our three tops here, last point of supply, and we have our first impulse or our markup, followed by our first sell-off. Okay, and this is where we had sold off to this level here of our first sell-off. Okay, and we got that squeeze beneath our 30,000, and we got that squeeze below our main support is 30,000. And so I thought there was a possibility that we might get that again, that squeeze, but we never got that, and we just used that 40,000 as support. And so what ended up happening is we bounced right off of there. Okay, and we started our, in my opinion, this is what is starting our new 5 waves. Okay. So we are at the end of our first wave, okay? And obviously Elliott wave are fractals, and we go ahead and we top out at our 5th wave is what I am looking at. There is always a possibility that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and we still get that 5th wave. Possible. But if we're looking at, if we keep things to scale, okay, this move is going to be similar to this move that we have here. And so we're going to keep things, we're in the same run. And so we're going to try and keep things to scale because the market psychology is going to be somewhat similar. Okay. And here we have our first, second, third, fourth, and then we have our 5th, which we ultimately thought was going to be at 50,000, 51,000. But we did get that 5th wave extension, okay, that bumped us all the way up to 50,000, and we have a double top here, and so I am expecting that this is where we get our correction and our second wave, okay. So if you look similar, what I am going to be looking for, guys, is in our 3rd wave and our second impulse wave up. Okay, I'll move this a little. In this wave up, I am going to be looking for another distribution top to give us our 4th wave or our second correction wave that happens up here. Okay, I am going to be looking for that because we've seen this distribution, and you'll see when we look at on-chain metrics in a second, you'll see this distribution top happen all the time. Okay, all the time. But let's go ahead. So I'm looking at this as our first impulse move, just like we had this first impulse move here. And I'm going to be looking for our second wave or our second impulse move or our 3rd wave to be looking something like this. I'm going to be looking out for that. Okay. We had this double top just occur here before we had our correction. That's what we had here. We had our first impulse wave. We have a double top before we have our correction. Okay. So again, I'm going to be looking for a correction here, coming down to 51,000, possibly $50,000 area before we start our next impulse move up. Okay, but everything as far as the charts is going perfectly according to plan. It's looking really healthy. We could say that we do have a little bit of negative divergence here happening on the RSI, which could cause or give us an indication of this sell-off. But then again, here you had this flat, right? And we had negative divergence happening here as well, right? And we just had our next impulse wave up. All right. So remember, indicators are just an indication. It's a possibility that, let's say, negative divergence, that we could get a sell-off. Okay. But that never happened. Keep in mind, guys, it is possible that this was our first wave, right? From here, from 40,000 up to, let's say, 48. Okay. That was our first. We have our first corrective wave, our second wave. This was our third wave. We're going to get a correction. And then we still have our fifth wave up to complete our overall first impulse wave. It's a possibility. But again, keeping things to scale in this same market, I'm looking at this as this to be our first impulse. Okay. And the completion of our first impulse move before we get our correction here. Okay. So this is still looking relatively good. Now, also, the reason why we do have a double top here, okay, short-term reversal pattern for a correction. Now, another reason why I am I'll say short-term bearish, but all I am is looking for a correction. And that's because of on-chain, okay? So there's a few different things I want to look at here, okay? First and foremost, go ahead and zoom in. First and foremost, we do our blue line here. We have this chart mapped out like this is courtesy of Will Clemente. He's awesome. If you're not following him, go give him a follow on Twitter. But he's put this all together on one chart. Anyway, you have blue is going to be our exchanges. Okay, so coins are continuing to not be put onto exchanges. Okay, that's bullish, so that's good. However, this green line is going to be our whales. Okay, anything over 1,000 Bitcoin, and this is going to be filtering out exchanges and exchange wallets and that type of thing, right? So they have sold off a little bit as we have made our move up, okay, to 55,000. So they have sold off a little. Okay, so that is one thing that we definitely want to keep an eye on to see if this trend continues. Now, remember, guys, on-chain is completely it's macro, right? So it's not, this whales go ahead and dump right here, and then all of a sudden we're in a bear market, right? These things take, I don't want to say they're delayed, but they take time to mature. So retail is always going to be the last. They're going to be the last in, the last out. Okay, so if whales are selling here, retail is going to still continue to push the price up. So this is something that we always need to continue to monitor to see if this downward trend continues, because price action will continue to go up because retail will continue up. Okay, but so this is something that we're going to keep an eye on. Also, what's going on at exchanges. All right, so we have that short-term bearish indication there. Okay. The next thing that we're going to look at is future perpetual funding rate. Okay. Now, when we've had a sudden spike here. Okay. Whenever we get this sudden spike, we didn't have this here. We haven't had a spike like this since September. Okay. And when we get spikes like this, we've had short-term selling happen. Okay. So again, these spikes are we'll call it the market sentiment. We could also somewhat relate it to the fear and greed index. Is that as greed goes up, more and more people are going to get into derivatives. Okay, and so this future spike here, perpetual funding rate, this is going up. And so when we get overextended here into these very high levels, this tends to give an indication of an overextended market, okay, or a more in a euphoric phase. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And so we've seen short-term sell-offs when these do spike. All right, so we want to keep an eye on this going forward, and this could have an effect on what we do in the short term. Okay, so and going off of that, we'll go into now our futures open interest. Again, this open interest, same exact thing. Okay, we've had a spike in this as we've made this run up into 55,000. Okay, and these levels again are always followed by a short-term selling off. Okay, and again, the market gets a little overexcited. We'll get more interested in derivatives, and they go ahead and they open up leverage positions and futures positions. And so again, this is something that we want to look out for, and it could be an indication that we do get a short-term sell-off. So we'll keep an eye on this as well. All right. Lastly, guys, I do want to give this, posted this up on our TikTok and Instagram page. So this overall for macro, I want to paint a so all those bearish things were very short term, right? Please do not misunderstand me that I am 100% bullish still. I still believe that we are 100% in this bull run. And this gives a very clear indication, in my opinion, of the continued bull run. Okay, we're looking at something that we haven't looked at before, guys. It's percent miner revenue fees. So the total revenue that miners are getting only from fees, okay, from the transactions. Now we have the percent in revenue fees the percent of fees in orange, and then in gray or black, we have price action, okay? We're flat here, okay? We're flat here, we're flat here. Now, quickly, I do want to show one other thing. We go back 3 years, okay? So again, okay, we're orange are the percentage in fees, and white now is price action, okay? So revenue from fees, flat here, flat along here, and flat over here, okay? Now, if you notice, flat here, this was pre-bull run, okay? Flat here, pre-bull run, okay? Flat here is this pre-bull run. This seems to fit the thesis that we are in a bull market, okay? Now, you could also say that this is in a bear market where these are flat, right? Okay. I would say that this definitely is pre-bull run, right? We've already established our support. We've already established our floor before we've made this run up. Okay. Here, we're about to find out. In my opinion, it is. But then we get to here, right? Now, let's say we're flat right here. Okay. Now, one thing that I want to point out, which is I think could be huge for determining where we're going in this market, is, remember we were talking about the distribution top that has happened all throughout Bitcoin, but especially recently, okay, the Wyckoff distribution top. Now, we have one here. So all of these are highlighted in green. We have one here. We have one here at the top of the first part of this bull run at 64,000. And then we've also had one here, okay? There's basically 3 subsequent tops. We have a run up. We have 3 subsequent tops followed by a markdown or a sell-off. Okay. So again, here we have our 3 subsequent tops, our run up, first correction, 3 subsequent tops, our last point of supply, and then a sell-off. Same thing here. Run up or markup, first sell-off, 3 subsequent tops, our last point of supply, sell-off. Okay. Now that. And then we've had our markdown, right? Have our distribution top here, okay? First run out, markup, first correction, 3 subsequent tops, last point of supply. Now, the reason why I don't know if I could become any more bullish than I was here, because everything that indicated that this was the bottom and that we were not going to 20,000, 17,000, 14,000, right? Like all the bears were saying, and we made this move up. Because we had this distribution top and we did not fall and we did not have that sell-off, we did not have this markdown like we did here. So we deviated from that and we actually made a massive move to to the upside. Okay, this deviation from this distribution top is huge in my opinion. Okay, and so this basically just solidified in my mind that we are 100% in this bull run. Okay, because we just deviated from this distribution top and this markup or markdown, and we've used this as support instead of seeing further downside, and we just bounced heavy bounce, right? And we've had a big move to the upside right up to 55,000 with virtually zero selling off. Okay, only consolidation at corrections. So this has been huge in my opinion. If you guys need to rewind this and watch this again, please do, because this is huge. Okay, so this is ultimately our bullish. Okay, our bullish support going forward for the macro trend. You've seen a few short-term bearish indications. Guys, watch this again if you need to. Really good, important stuff in here. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe. Send this to somebody who you think could see this or who needs to see this. Hit that like, and we'll see you in the next video.